All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is genuinely a game changer for the workplace. It's called ISO 45003, and it's the very first global standard designed to protect our mental health on the job. This is huge, so let's get right to it.
So, let me start by asking you a question. Think about your job right now. What's the biggest hidden risk you face? And I'm not talking about, a wet floor or a shaky ladder. I'm talking about that invisible stuff. The pressure, the stress that just builds and builds, the kind of thing that can mess with your head just as badly as any physical hazard. And let's be clear, this is not some small niche problem. We're talking about a massive, growing challenge. These invisible risks to our mental health, they are hitting workplaces everywhere, affecting not just how people feel, but how productive they can be. And look at this. This quote is pulled right from the introduction of the standard. It's a really powerful signal. Things that we used to just call stress or burnout, well, now they're being officially recognized on a global scale as psychosocial hazards. These are now considered major challenges that, frankly, every single company has to deal with. And the stakes for doing nothing, they are incredibly high. It's a two-sided problem, really. For us, the workers, it can mean serious health issues. We're talking anxiety, depression, even heart problems. But for the organizations, the costs are just as brutal. Think about it. Constant staff churn, productivity tanking, and your company's reputation taking a serious hit. It is a total lose-lose. Okay, so we keep using this term psychosocial hazards. But what does that actually mean? Let's break it down, because you can't fix a problem if you don't even know what it is, right? All right, the official definition here sounds a little academic, I know. But the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. It's basically the potential for parts of your job, the way it's set up, the people you work with, how you're managed, to cause you harm, either mentally or physically. The key thing to get is that it's all about the design of the work. So the standard splits these hazards into three main buckets. First, you've got how the work itself is organized. Think about your workload, your deadlines, how much say you have over your own tasks. Then there's the social side of things. This is all about the company culture, your relationships with your boss and coworkers. And finally, there's the work environment itself. Everything from the physical space to the technology you have to use. Let's make this super real. Picture this. Your boss tells you, I need you to give every single customer the best, most personalized service possible. But then 5 minutes later, they're like, why are your call times so long? You need to hurry up. That's it right there. Conflicting demands. It's a recipe for stress.
And here's one that I think a lot of us can relate to. Putting in the hours, doing great work, and getting crickets. Nothing. That lack of recognition, it's not just demoralizing. The standard actually calls it out as a hazard to your well-being. It really matters.
This one's a big one, leadership. When the people in charge make decisions that seem to come out of nowhere, or they're just inconsistent, it creates so much uncertainty and erodes trust. You can't do your best work when you're constantly trying to guess what's coming next.
And of course, we have to talk about a huge stressor in today's world, job insecurity. Living with that constant worry of, will my contract be renewed, or being in precarious work without real benefits or stability? That's a massive, massive psychological weight to carry. Okay, so we've painted a pretty serious picture of the problem. But here's the good news. We're not just here to talk about problems. There's now a clear, practical solution, a real blueprint for building a workplace that actually supports our well-being.
And that's where ISO 45003 enters the scene. Now, this is not just another poster on the wall about wellness. No, this is a practical guide. It gives companies a real system to manage these risks and, more importantly, to actively create a culture where people feel psychologically safe. And the whole philosophy behind this is captured in this quote. It's all about one key word: prevention. This is a huge shift. Instead of waiting for people to get sick or burn out and then reacting, the goal is to design work from the ground up to prevent that harm from ever happening. So, what's it trying to do? Well, first, stop psychological harm before it starts. Second, actually promote well-being. Third, and this is really smart, it's designed to plug right into a company's existing safety systems. And finally, it's for everyone.
It doesn't matter if you're a 5-person startup or a multinational giant, the principles apply.
So, how does a company actually do this? It's not a book you just read once. Think of it more like an operating system for the organization, something that's always running, always learning.
It works in a loop, a cycle of continuous improvement. First, you have to figure out what the specific risks are in your workplace and make a plan. Then you actually do something about it. You put controls in place and support your people. After that, and this part is key, you have to measure if it's actually working. And finally, you take what you learned and you make the whole system better. Then you start the loop all over again.
But, and this is probably the most important quote in the whole standard, none of this works, it's all completely useless, without real, genuine buy-in from the very top. If the leaders aren't living and breathing this, it's just not going to happen. So this all leads us to the future of work and what this means in the real world. Every single organization now faces a very clear choice, and the paths lead to 2 totally different places.
And the choice really couldn't be clearer. You can go down one road where you ignore these risks, and that road leads to people calling in sick, your best employees leaving, your reputation getting trashed, and maybe even getting sued. Or you can manage the risks, and that road leads to people who are more engaged, more productive, more innovative. It leads to a company that's built to last. And this is the real payoff. This is the business case right here. Investing in your people's psychological health isn't some fluffy expense. It's a direct investment in the success of your organization. A healthy workforce is a high-performing workforce. It's that simple. So, I want to leave you with this one final question to think about. When you really look at your own job, the way it's set up, the culture, the leadership, is your workplace actually designed to protect your mind? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me for this Explain.